The theme of today's pressure test is...
tension, turmoil, trials. These are the most shocking pressure tests on Masterchef.
3, 2, 1, and stop!
Let's kick things off with what happened in Season 5, Episode 15, when things went rocky real quick.
This challenge is so intense and hard.
After losing the restaurant takeover challenge, the blue team led by Jaime and her brigade Christian and Courtney was in the pressure test, and this is what they had to cook.
Stunning! Croquembouche.
I mean, that was definitely a tall order for the home cooks.
Don't know what it is, never had it before. Croaking what?
Yeah, they had only 90 minutes on the clock to build this pastry monstrosity. Chef Ramsay went on about how the tower needed to have the right consistency and filling, and it absolutely couldn't collapse.
Not too sweet, not too thick. And make sure the whole thing doesn't fall over.
The task was incredibly difficult. However, Courtney expressed confidence that things would come together, but Chef Ramsay pointed out that her cream puffs were varying in size.
Are you thinking it's you?
It quite possibly could be me, Chef.
She acknowledged this flaw and admitted she might be the one going home.
You're feeling the pressure tonight, aren't you?
Yes. How's that for honesty?
With only 20 minutes left until the deadline, they began preparing their caramel. They discussed the delicate process of caramelization, emphasizing the need to leave it undisturbed or risk ruining it. By the time, Jaime began assembling her tower, and soon after, Courtney followed suit. However, Christian complained that his sugar wasn't the right color yet.
If I don't get the right texture or the right color, I'm all the way screwed.
He's clearly out of his element.
Meanwhile, Courtney was hard at work assembling hers. With just 8 minutes left, Christian struggled and ended up burning himself while his tower started collapsing due to the improperly caramelized sugar.
Because he used sugar syrup that hadn't gone to caramel on the first 3 layers. Now it's starting to collapse.
Frantically using tongs to salvage fallen pieces, Christian faced a race against the clock. As time dwindled down to 30 seconds, the pressure was intense.
Courtney's hitting us with the sponge sugar now.
Wow. 20 seconds to go!
And just like that, the time was up and the home cooks stepped up to present their creations. Chef Ramsay approached Courtney, complimenting how beautiful her tower looked.
Spun sugar just should tear away. That's the idea. You have there a beautiful croquembouche.
Graham couldn't stop raving about her spun sugar.
A garnish to make it look pretty, like it adds something. And like that one that I just tried, you could hear it crunching. It adds a completely different dimension.
And on top of it all, here comes the masterstroke.
That pastry cream, this is what we asked for. This is top notch. Good job.
Thank you, Chef.
Next, Chef Ramsay approached Christian, who decided to come forward with an open admission.
I didn't get my sugar on in time, but hopefully the taste will get me through.
Chef Ramsay noted that his tower was uneven in shapes and colors, lacking visual appeal.
Some different shapes moving there. You've got a slight indent here on the inside. So now it looks like it's been slammed against the wall.
He attempted to break into the caramel, causing a chunk of the puff to come loose, revealing almost no filling inside.
However, what you have nailed is the cooking of the profiteroles. They're light, they're crisp on the outside, really tasty.
Graham also tried to sample one, but 3 puffs pulled apart due to excessive caramel.
I got like 3 pieces on this one just because of how much caramel now is on that, so.
Although the flavor in itself was good, the caramel was off.
The sugar is what's getting me. The fact that they're just like glued together.
Yeah.
Next up was Jaime, and Chef Ramsay pointed out that her creation lacked finishing touches.
The sugar cut towards the bottom and it was seizing up.
As for the caramel, it was a bit too heavy-handed.
But then here I've got this mask of heavy, sticky caramel.
Chef Ramsay then asked her to pull one off for him to taste, but it was stuck.
If you're not going to be able to do it, then how the hell am I?
Frustrated, Jaime struggled to free one, prompting Chef Ramsay to express disbelief and remark that she might be in trouble. But eventually, she managed to hack one off.
And every time I lift one off, look, I'm just getting bits.
Chef Ramsay then cut it open only to find it undercooked.
It's wet because of their undercookedness.
Graham joined in and found the tower to be clumsy at the top, and he also criticized the bland cream and doughy profiterole. Despite it being structurally impressive, the issues kept mounting.
The filling and the actual flavor is not as explosive as I was expecting. We don't make it easy. Hard, hard, hard.
The pressure was at its peak, and the final result could go in anyone's favor.
It was an incredibly difficult pressure test. Sadly, one of you is going home.
In the end, Christian's tower was deemed the best tasting despite its lackluster appearance. Chef Ramsay then congratulated Courtney for her impressive tower, which left Jamie looking disappointed. Jamie hoped they would appreciate her visually appealing tower more, but Chef Ramsay had something else to reveal.
And unfortunately, my darling, you produced a croque and bouche that may have looked beautiful, but was totally impractical to break down. I'm sorry, my darling. Come and say goodbye, my darling, please.
Oh, and did anyone notice Joe's absence in this episode? No? I mean, is he that dismal? The pressure tests were an important element of Masterchef. They were equal parts iconic and entertaining, which is why fans were up in arms when they decided to eliminate them from season 12 onwards. Don't you miss them too? But this next episode kicked off with the 3 remaining cooks entering the Masterchef kitchen. Their challenge, cooking for 30 skilled chefs who work for the judges' their culinary crew.
This is a huge task that you have in front of you. Nearly impossible to achieve alone.
Right now, I have to cook the best dish of my life because these VIPs, whoever they are, decide my fate.
Which means, Hell's Kitchen fans, you now get to see some familiar faces behind Chef Ramsay.
You think one Gordon Ramsay's bad? Try 10 of each. I mean, talk about pressure.
I mean, these people know the judges' standards better than anyone else.
These talented individuals that run our own restaurants are your judges.
As for the home cooks, the pressure was on.
I'm interested to see how that's going to translate on the plates. Tonight, I expect no menos than perfection.
I kind of was nervous for them because this was a lot.
Food is being eaten by some of the greatest chefs in the world, right? And it's like, they're gonna know the most minute mistake.
But the semi-finalists won't be tackling this alone. Tommy, Katrina, and Hetzel had returned to lend a hand. Steven teamed up with Tommy, Claudia paired with Katrina, and Derek partnered with Hitel. During the cooking session, Steven prepared pan-seared scallops with rutabaga.
I got 44, 42. I'm gonna do 46 for you, so we'll have extra just in
Yeah, I
case.
said 45. That 45 was for good measure. Just do exactly what I say.
Claudia opted for grilled octopus, and Derek focused on miso-marinated black cod. But at the 10-minute mark, Claudia ran out of octopus.
It wasn't cooked.
Unbelievable.
Are you kidding me? We didn't take one octopus out of the pot.
The judges were worried, or should I say prompted to act worried.
I literally feel my heart sinking to the pit of my stomach.
But she managed to whip up more before time ran out. When it was time to present their dishes to the judges, Hell's Kitchen Season 10 winner Christina Wilson favored Claudia's dish.
I'm very confident that Claudia's dish is the best on the table.
However, in the final tally, Derek secured 15 out of 30 votes, earning a spot in the Masterchef finale. This means Claudia and Steven were headed to the pressure test.
3 pressure tests. An appetizer, an entree, and a dessert.
And they didn't really have much time for the same.
You have to make all 3 in just 1 hour.
Believe me, it was game on.
I think they're both going home.
Before diving into their daunting task of preparing cheese souffle, steak Fritos, and raspberry panna cotta, a visibly nervous Claudia and Steven got a heartwarming moment to connect with their families via tablet.
Me siento mejor ya que la estoy viendo, gracias a Dios. Gracias, Lita.
Seeing loved ones from around the globe visibly lifts their spirits, providing a much-needed boost before the pressure test begins. Anyway, during the cooking session, Claudia faced a setback when she accidentally tossed out her extra panna cotta mix.
She's on the verge of almost panicking a little bit.
I'm panicked.
She's gonna end up making a panic cotta.
And the judge reactions were pretty loud.
She needs to seal the sorbet. How could you make a mistake like that?
But of course, she managed to recover in time to remake it. Meanwhile, Steven made a mistake by using a whisk to fold in his egg whites, which isn't ideal.
He's over mixing, and he's deflating it when he whisks.
Despite this, his souffle managed to rise, but unfortunately, he put it in the oven prematurely.
They look great. Unfortunately, you put them in too early.
Yeah.
This led it to collapse before the judges could sample it.
On the plus diet of 16 minutes.
What temperature?
425 degrees.
Anyway, time for the judgment, and Claudia's dish looked pretty solid. However, Steven's was kind of flat.
How long was it in for?
14 minutes exactly. At 425 degrees, ma'am.
It wasn't surprising to see Claudia win the round. Next, Graham tried the steak Fritos and mentioned they were both cooked perfectly, but he didn't say much about the taste.
One really nice and crispy, the other less crispy but seasoned really nice. I mean, it's up and down.
Finally, Chef Ramsay tried the panna cotta with raspberry coulis hidden inside. Claudia's was well set and the inside was great, but like the other judges, Chef Ramsay didn't give much detail about how it tasted. As for Steven's filling, it was leaking out, and this turned out to be a huge problem.
1 teaspoon in the center.
So you're giving away the magic on the outside, but it's all coming down with flavor.
The results were pretty obvious. Claudia went on to the finale, and Steven had to pack his knives and go home. Now, heading over to a group challenge day at Pasadena Centennial Hall when Bethy and Bime lead 8 teams.
So we're thinking who and what are we cooking for?
They had 90 minutes to prepare a 10-ounce New York strip steak, a sauce, and 2 side dishes for 101 off-duty firefighters. We then see Chef Ramsay go on and on about Walmart.
For a guy who lives on the grill, I didn't even know Walmart had all these steaks, so they look pretty good. I can't wait to get them on the grill and serve them out.
Okay, let me stop you right there. It was tough to take a culinary giant seriously when they were promoting Walmart. Maybe the show couldn't land any other sponsors big enough to cover the production costs. Who really knows?
You'll need to make 2 side dishes using the fresh Walmart produce you see here.
As expected on the show, this team challenge unfolded with the usual mix of communication breakdowns and mayhem.
101 firefighters coming in for lunch. There's not even a steak seared yet.
But let's fast forward and see who were declared as winners.
Blue team! Amazing!
So Bime's Team Red was on the way to the pressure test, and all hell broke loose during cleanup. Luca tried to keep it chill, but Beth started crying about the cauliflower puree being disgusting. Meanwhile, Natasha took it super personally and went off.
You. Disgusting is harsh. That is disrespectful to talk about food saying that it's disgusting. You don't call food disgusting, period.
Although Bree rushed to comfort Beth, things were getting heated fast.
Stop. No. Seriously, you are doing nothing to help the problem. You are literally causing it.
I'll spare you the drama. So skipping ahead, the judges decide to save Bime and give him the chance to rescue another contestant.
I'm getting out of there. If you give me the chance, I'm out. Thank you, Beamy. But I know that he's not that good a leader and he sucks as a chef.
This left the other 6 team members to face off in a pressure test that was all about this.
Eggs Benedict.
They had 30 minutes to cook the judges a perfect plate of Eggs Benedict. And this when Graham came up with a warning.
That Eggs Benedict is an incredibly difficult, highly technical dish to perfect.
On the other hand, guess what Joe had to say?
There are only enough ingredients to make us 1 complete portion. You only get 1 shot at this.
And as always, Chef Ramsay had the last word.
I think there's going to be maybe 2 out of the 6 contestants tonight breaking their hollandaise sauce.
If I'm not mistaken, shouldn't hollandaise be served immediately after making it? Unless it's got some stabilizer to keep it together for longer. Anyway, Beth seemed confident, claiming she always whipped up Eggs Benedict at home.
I make this all the time at home, and I want, more than anything, to take Natasha out.
Usually when they highlight that, it's a sign that the person is about to get the boot. Bree confesses she never nailed a poached egg. And I guess you have a fair idea of how that's gonna end.
And I have never successfully poached an egg.
Funny how the editing usually sets someone up for a surprise success. Anyway, back to the test. Natasha was playing it cool, saving her sauce for the final touch. But that's when Chef Ramsay tried to shake her confidence with some tough love.
Kind of want to work my way up.
Don't leave it too long before you start making that hollandaise sauce.
Got it, chef.
Meanwhile, Chrissy hit a snag. Her hollandaise was a mess. And the next thing you know, we could see her tossing out the sauce, which is the absolute last resort when your hollandaise splits or goes south.
So all that's separating you from elimination is what's left in this bowl?
Oh wait, guess what happened meanwhile?
Kathy just pulled the perfect poached egg out of the water with the spatula and then dropped it on her plate.
Ah, you're yet to see the worst though.
Good it is. It's right there on my glasses.
Yikes. Anyway, when time was up, the Benedicts hit the table.
The eggs are cooked perfectly.
Yeah, as expected, Kathy's dish was flawless from egg to base. Except for one little thing.
I'm missing my sauce. That's the secret of an Eggs Benedict, that rich, sumptuous, delicious sauce.
Meanwhile, Luca's eggs were underdone.
It's an undercooked egg.
Natasha's plate was a mess.
You know the difference between hollandaise and mayonnaise?
Yes, I do.
Next up, Beth.
So this looks like eggs vomit.
Beth failed miserably.
She'd never had a hollandaise break before, but that day it was a disaster, complete with those slightly undercooked eggs.
Today was your unlucky day. Eggs
It really was.
slightly undercooked.
But she owned up to it without excuses.
No, it's awful.
Yeah, I respect your integrity. Rest in peace, Beth. Now, Bree, despite her lack of experience with the dish, nailed her Benedict.
You're perfect, Benedict. Good job.
Thank you, chef.
It was nearly flawless, with the best presentation of the bunch.
Thank
See
you,
how it
chef.
still kind of holds in there? Almost like a pasta filling. You guys all see that?
That's perfect.
As for Chrissy, she managed to pull through too, serving enough hollandaise, and soon enough, she was in the clear.
Well, this is good. This is what it's supposed to look like, right?
Yeah.
And what do you know? It tasted good too.
Everything to season. Perfect.
Next, the judges were deep in deliberation, stuck because all 4 performances were so bad they couldn't make a clear call. Chrissy and Bree were obviously safe, but Beth, Natasha, Luca, and Kathy were all on thin ice. And just as you're waiting for the verdict, Chef Ramsay dropped the bomb.
Immense pressure test. And do you know what? It was too close to call.
Just when it seems like they might all get axed, something crazy happened.
All 4 of you.
Yeah, they announced an epic, overly dramatic pressure test, Masterchef history in the making.
And in to an even greater challenge.
It was to stretch over a full extra episode in Vegas just to decide who would be going home among these 4. It was clear this was all part of the plan from the start, from a production standpoint, but I wonder what would have happened if only 2 flopped while 4 excelled. But anyway, this time, the 4 contestants in danger of elimination were led to a real restaurant.
But this isn't just any Vegas restaurant.
It's mine.
Yes, it was Chef Ramsay's Burgee R restaurant in Sin City in the Planet Hollywood complex.
We make stunning gourmet burgers for the high rollers of Vegas. We average about 860 burgers a night.
Chef Ramsay stepped into the role of expediter to keep things moving smoothly.
We can also tell you that at some point during tonight's service, we've invited some high-rolling Vegas VIPs to taste your burgers.
Next, the judges paired up the teams. Beth was paired with Natasha, while Luca teamed up with Kathy. The challenge gave them 1 hour for prep and 75 minutes for continuous service, focusing on creating a unique signature burger. Luca opted for an all-beef burger with caramelized onions and sauce, skipping the cheese. Kathy, however, fretted over America's cheese on burger obsession.
Luca doesn't want to do cheese on the burgers. I don't agree because I feel every burger in town should be with cheese. I hope he's right with this one.
Now, Beth's vision was a mouth-watering hangover burger.
I feel like a hangover burger. We'll get some Gruyere, some crispy prosciutto, and a sunny side-up egg with like a truffle aioli.
However, Natasha had a strategic move. She was letting Beth take charge and make all the decisions. By stepping back from the leadership role right away, Natasha was setting herself up to avoid blame if their team loses.
You know, if there was to be anything at fault later in this competition, she's gonna take the blame because I'm just going along with what she thinks.
I mean, that's incredibly shrewd. Moving on, the judges decide to dive into the patty, the heart of any great burger.
Why would you need to put egg in the burger when you've got those 2 blends?
I do it all the time and it makes it so moist.
Chef Ramsay seemed overly concerned when Beth added egg to her patty mix, but that might just be for the cameras. After all, the egg adds richness, not a whole new flavor profile. Later, Chef Ramsay stepped in because it looked like they prioritized toppings over the patty itself.
Yeah, so you're dressing salad and we haven't got the burger pate done. Get that pate nailed now before you do anything.
And it wasn't long before he predicted they were headed for a loss.
Someone's going home tonight, and right now, at this stage, it's one of you.
However, both teams faced setbacks and had to adjust their plans on the fly. Luca sacrificed his sauce plans to assist Kathy with caramelizing onions, which, by the way, were falling way behind schedule.
I don't have time for the sauce. The burger is gonna go out like this. There's nothing else I can do.
Meanwhile, Beth and Natasha scrapped their sunny side-up eggs due to difficulties, opting instead for goat cheese and arugula to complement their crispy prosciutto.
I think we should try to focus on doing a cheese on it. Just scratch the egg, do the goat cheese arugula.
Chef Ramsay also threw in a surprise rule as service kicked off.
They've got a 60-second maximum time. Otherwise,
then they start losing votes.
They start losing votes.
At one point, Beth and Natasha had an order ready to go, but Kathy and Luca hadn't even started cooking their patties. They were still on the grill.
Red team, you're falling behind, guys.
Come on, Luca. We need them patties.
Yeah, but if they're not ready, they're not ready. What do you want me to do?
Chef Ramsay started yelling at Luca, as if that would magically speed up the cooking process.
2 burgers in the window, or it's gone.
Put the onion in. Put the onion in.
Instead, it just left Luca feeling frustrated and powerless.
It's still moving. It's that raw. We've gone from a gourmet burger to steak tartare.
Yeah, sure.
Stop.
Careful, Chef Ramsay. Your Hell's Kitchen vibe is showing. It was no walk in the park for Beth and Natasha's team either. They accidentally burned one of their buns in the salamander, and Chef Ramsay put a stop to everything just to give them an earful.
When you 2 start around like this, do you know what that tells me? You're out of control.
Meanwhile, Luca and Kathy's burgers kept coming back undercooked.
Chef, these burgers
oh no,
are completely raw.
As if things weren't tense enough, the VIPs arrived, who by the way were none other than the other contestants. Luca immediately decided to rush his orders to the window, leaving Beth and Natasha struggling to keep up within that tight 60-second window.
Next 4, how long?
Now! Up now, chef.
1 minute, let's go, Natasha.
Here you go, chef.
Beth, come on. Natasha, come on.
This tactic only worked for the final 4 burgers, automatically putting Natasha and Beth down by 4 votes. And finally, the results were in. Beth and Natasha ended up receiving the most votes. And with that, Kathy and Luca found themselves facing yet another challenge in this marathon pressure test that had already stretched across nearly 2 episodes. And this time, they were tasked with handling one of the most expensive, luxurious ingredients in the world.
Poached lobster. A true Vegas classic.
Yes. They had 45 minutes to pull it off with a small salad. Eventually, both contestants presented their lobster dishes, and Kathy's lobster turned out to be cooked perfectly.
And it is. That is cooked perfectly.
Thank you, chef.
But Chef Ramsay found the removal of the knuckles from the shell a bit too rough for his liking. Next, it was time for Graham's feedback.
It's cooked to perfection. But as far as the plating,
Of course.
it looks like another 2 or 3 minutes and you probably would have been a lot happier.
Yes.
But her salad turned out to be overly acidic.
It's really acidic. A lot of lemon juice. The salad is nowhere near as good as the lobster.
Meanwhile, Joe had his own set of criticism to make.
You really hurt yourself by not giving yourself the time to properly extract all the meat.
Now, coming to Luca's lobster, it was plated perfectly well, but the meat appeared too pale.
Knuckles, tails, perfect. Slightly on the bland-looking anemic side because it's lacking color.
However, the lobster was glistening, which happens to be a positive point.
The lobster tastes like it, you just harvested it out of the ocean. Cooked it with some of the drawn butter that you traditionally get on the side. That's the flavors I'm getting.
In the end, despite the thick competition, Kathy was the one who got the axe. By the way, did you know that after her appearance, she did 2 days of training at Chef Ramsay's London restaurant before being asked not to return? Yeah, that happened too. But what are your thoughts about some of these pressure tests? Do you think things could have been handled better, or do they just turn on the heat for the viewers? Go ahead and share your thoughts in the comments.